Good morning, afternoon, weekend, Monday, Friday, whichever to you, Ahedians. Welcome to another episode of the Life It Ahead podcast. I'm your host, Nick Rodriguez, and today we have a special episode focused on Ahedians who are making an impact. Ahead's vision, our vision, is to make an extraordinary impact on our industry, our clients, and each other. Making an impact. What does that mean? It goes beyond leaving a mark or creating change. It's about harnessing our unique strengths, passions, and experiences to create positive and lasting transformation. Joining us today are three remarkable employees who are making an extraordinary impact. Nick Colyer, a leader who fosters a culture of continuous learning and empowers his team. Shea Allen, a senior recruiter who extends her impact beyond the workplace to support her local community. And Ian Hansen, a service account manager who drives his commitment to making a positive impact on our clients with enthusiasm and purpose. Each guest will showcase the diverse ways in which impact can be achieved. Before we begin, let's talk about gratitude. I want to take a moment to emphasize the importance of recognizing and appreciating the people in our lives who make a difference. In a fast-paced world where we often get caught up in our own pursuits, it's crucial to pause and acknowledge the impact others have on us. Recognizing people's efforts and expressing gratitude not only uplifts their spirits, but also strengthens our relationships and creates a positive ripple effect. When we take the time to appreciate others, we cultivate a culture of support, encouragement, and empathy. It's a simple yet powerful act that can transform lives and organizations. That's why I encourage you to use Thanks, our platform dedicated to helping you express your gratitude in a meaningful way. From personalized shoutouts to nominating someone for an impact award, Thanks enables you to acknowledge the impact someone has had on you and make them feel truly seen and valued. Personally, I have a calendar block every Friday to ground myself with gratitude and express my appreciation for others on Thanks. Each of us has the power to make a difference by recognizing the contributions of others. Let's make it a priority to celebrate the achievements, efforts, and kindness of those around us. Visit Thanks through Okta today and discover how a simple act of recognition can have a profound impact on the lives of others. All right, get ready to be inspired by these three remarkable individuals who are making waves in their respective spheres. Their stories of impact will remind us of the power we each hold to make a difference. So let's dive into their journeys and discover the invaluable lessons they have to share. In Nick Collier's story of impact, he leads a team that embraces a culture of continuous learning and skill development. Through internal and external training courses, YouTube videos, and blogging, Nick's team constantly seeks out new skills to excel in their field. This dedication to education has become a cornerstone of their work, enabling them to deliver exceptional results and empower their customers. As the team grows and embraces new ideas, they create a supportive environment where trying new things and witnessing positive outcomes brings a sense of fulfillment and fosters the emergence of new leaders. So I've got Nick here with me today. How you doing, Nick?
Hey, good. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. Thanks for asking. For those of the folks who are listening today who don't know you, do you mind doing a quick introduction?
Yeah, sure. Happy to. Yeah, great to meet everyone. My name is Nick Colyer. I'm the Senior Director for our Cloud and DevOps Managed Solutions Group at Ahead. I've been at Ahead for, coming up on 10 years now. Had multiple hats from when we were a small company of just over 100 employees and setting up our first AWS and automation practice, then the Azure practices that followed, and very recently, took over running our managed solutions group the last couple of years and, reinventing what it means to run managed services.
Awesome introduction, Nick. I am not surprised about the many hats and that you're such a maverick. You absolutely were integral to basically my career launching here at Ahead. You took a lot of risks and gave me a lot of opportunities to work on really cool projects with like graphic conceptualization and everything. And I think there's a slide, maybe you're still using it, that I made back in 2014.
I was gonna make the same joke. Yeah, we definitely had some parallel careers of taking risk here. So definitely a lot of great things I can say about you as well. I love working with you and the team. But yeah, I think what's interesting actually, you bring that slide up is I think that was 8 years ago, somewhere around there. a lot of the problems, even though the technology changes, a lot of the challenges are still there. People talk about people process technology all the time, but when we look at that slide, it's still a case of people trying to hand off a piece of paper to other people and get things up and running quickly because the business wants to move faster. I think it's 2023. I feel like we've come out of a pandemic. Everybody wants to move even faster and do more with less. The terms we hear constantly, and it's tough out there right now. And so some of those items from the past, I think, are really good to revisit as well.
I brought it up in the abstract, but I've been hearing about how you're leading a team focused on embracing a culture of continuous learning and skill development. You're passionate about this, and I'd love to learn a little bit more about how you are making an impact on your team.
Yeah, I mean, I was excited to take this role in the last couple of years. I think anytime we're either, enhancing a team or investing in a new area of technology and have to build a team, I definitely passionate about that. And one of the core tenets I always go back to is education and empowerment. And is the team ready to take on the challenge? If we just hire a bunch of people and put them in front of customers, when we're obviously not setting the customer up for success if our team's not ready, but we're really not setting the team up for growth if we don't have a program in place to help the team grow. And I go back to prior to joining Ahead even, God, there was an HR website I found probably 14 years ago, and there was one slide or image they had, and it said 50% of your job is doing your job, 50% of your job is improving the way you do your job or growing your career. And I try to use that with my team quite a lot, at least that philosophy of, okay, where are you today? Well, okay, you've got tasks you've got to get done. We've got clients that demand in, absolutely critical. But if we're not growing ourselves and moving forward and building that team collaboration, then our long-term success is it's always going to be trying to hack against the wall till you get through all the tasks of the day. And we've got to find new and more efficient ways to do things. So I think that's core. And then I think the other part you mentioned, yeah, I mean, my passion for education, I absolutely love it. I do a lot of work, outside of Ahead too in the education space. I joke with my wife that maybe if I ever decide to change career, I'll probably just go teach technology at some point at a university or something. But
Yeah.
absolutely love to do it because I think you can tell the difference between highly trained people and people that aren't highly trained, and also who are those people getting the investment they need, which I think is so critical for their growth.
Yeah, totally. I think, what's that saying? If you have like 2 hours to chop wood, you spend like an hour and a half sharpening the axe and the other 30
Yeah,
minutes chopping the wood.
yeah, I think that's totally right. Yeah, and you asked the question, so I didn't get to it. The making an impact. I think it was the question there. How we're making an impact inside Ahead with our clients and in the community. So yeah, I think inside Ahead, what's been fantastic is, when I started this team just over a year and 18 months ago now, a lot of it was very small. A lot of it was probably myself doing lunch and learn Fridays and things and teaching people what we didn't know. Now we've shifted really to multiple people signing up on a schedule and actually giving that training out themselves. So we sort of train the trainer. We've got another engagement going on right now with a peer of mine, and we've just hired a new AWS DevOps architect. And he's being trained to go and run these workshops and train on site with a customer. But then he will go and train other people. And I think I know people talk about train the trainer, but you actually have to just execute and get on with it and do it really, really well and be, particular about the fact that, hey, it's not always the one person anymore. It's multiple people that can now carry that message. And that in turn, I think automatically passes on to our clients. But the same thing, the same group of individuals I just mentioned also, they're now recording videos at their clients, like tutorial videos. So they finish a project, they leave behind a tutorial video. And that makes a difference because then the client, next time they want to know how we did something on that project, well, go check the video we left behind for you. It's already there for you. And then in the community as well, we encourage the team, attend conferences, attend the Harness Unscripted conference coming up, reInvent, etc. User groups, it's really up to them. Some people are very active on social media, some aren't. It's not everybody's thing, but the key is just, how are you empowering other people, and how are you teaching people to teach, just as importantly.
Yeah, so I think we're already kind of touching on some of this, but what do you think the results are of the culture that you're creating within your team?
I think the confidence level of individuals goes up significantly when they can teach, or some people use the term run a room. So if you're able to go to a workshop and teach a concept to someone, the more you do that by repetition, like I've seen people very early, very nervous, their first screen recording even, and they need a lot of hand holding through that, or their first workshop and a bit nervous. I was too. I remember coming to a head and I would get, anxiety, I think, going up in the front of the room of our clients.
Mhm.
And, but I think when you help people realize, you can anchor on your experience and the technology, and just the more you repeat and through repetition present, the better and better you get at it, and then the easier it becomes over time. And so I think the result, the impact, I mean, you see it day in, day out. It's people's confidence goes up first and foremost. And then secondly, I mean, it leads from a business perspective. We have increased sales. People are more successful in the room. We have more repeat business as a result, because customers are more satisfied, because when people are in the room talking, they're educating them. People leave feeling they got something out of that. And then just as important, within our peers and the community, inside of Ahead, more and more those senior individuals, there's more collaboration, there's more sharing of knowledge. I know we're going to talk about some of the rules to live by today, but one of those is, all documents go on SharePoint or in our ServiceNow KB area. And it's just that there's sort of that end-to-end system of sharing, of from start to finish. Hey, I'm somebody new to presenting. Now I'm a great presenter. Now I'm creating lots and lots of content for people out Ahead and our customers. Where do I put that content? How do I make sure people have access to it? Those things all naturally follow.
Yeah, definitely. And how does it make you feel seeing someone, maybe going in, it's their first time presenting, they're really nervous, and then they become, really confident in the room and are able to run it really well? How does that make you feel?
Yeah, I mean, it feels great for the first the first part, but I mean, just to use an example, recently, one of the directors of my team, one of the engineers, my director, he's come a long way in this area too. Now he's coaching lots of people. Now he's got a bunch of leads that are now presenting. He feels good. People have career growth. They feel good. I mean, it just changes the entire dynamic and feeling of the group when people are given that opportunity. Frankly, it makes my life easier too, right? My day-to-day job is a lot easier when people are more successful, because people aren't always coming to me. I mean, there was this joke that it was like the Nick show, and people, when somebody scheduled a calendar meeting, and I joked the other day, I was like, it's definitely not the Nick show anymore. Like it's, there's a team here, and I don't, often now I don't present on the meetings. I just have the team go and come up with new presentations, new blogs. I really want it to be more and more self-sufficient. I think there's more we can do as a team. I think we had a lot of success, but we need to keep it up. And as the company grows, obviously there's always pressures on people's time, as I mentioned, so that 50% gets harder and harder. So how do
Yeah.
we ensure it builds upon itself?
How does a head facilitator encourage your impactful actions?
There's so much discussion around impact. I think that's aligned so well with the work that we're doing in the team around education, because everyone now talks about, are we making an impact? Are we making an impact at our customer? Are we, was that meeting impactful? Is that new technology, that vendor X that we're working with, wants to try out, is that going to be impactful? Let's test it out. And so I think first and foremost, just having it as part of the general culture and the way we think of ourselves, I think is really, really important. And so it's definitely encouraged, flat out 23. It's all about impact. And I think that shows, we lead when we talk to our customers today. The first thing we want to talk to them about is what's the impact we're making, to your point, inside of Ahead with our clients and in our community, right? All those things are equally important. So I would just anchor on that in particular. I mean, it's the core of the culture now, and that builds upon itself.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like you hear what the messaging and the new strategy and kind of like the theme around everything and an impact. And for me, it was like a light bulb moment. You're like, yeah, like it's so weird.
I
It's
love
like
it.
how I
I love it.
felt for the whole time, and then you're like, yeah,
Like, what
you
are we
find
doing
this is
here?
the
Yeah.
word. Yeah, yeah, this is the word. You mentioned this earlier, and I'm super interested. Fun rules to live by. What are these?
Yeah, so this is interesting. This actually came when I worked at TransUnion. I had a director who came in and he made an attempt very clearly to articulate our culture and the rules that the team needs to live by, or principles to live by, is a better way to put it. So they're the principles to live by. And I was thinking about this recently, and as we were relaunching managed solutions, or moving into what we call next gen managed solutions, could we do something similar? And so we came up with these, and there's a handful of principles to live by. So to give you an example, we have a lot of fun with this. Overall approach. Principle one is follow all principles. Right. Principle two is you can't change principle number one. And then you immediately get into principle three, which I love, which is assume positive intent. And I leverage that one a lot when we talk to the team. People get frustrated. Everybody does day to day. There's a lot of pressures in the environment, just in the speed that we work at. And so sometimes you anchor on that. You're like, well, first of all, assume the person's coming from a positive place. And they're trying to do good, and that immediately deflates any difficult situation. Some of the others, like we work as a team. No one is done until everyone is done. No one is successful unless everyone is successful. I think is absolutely critical. Then you get down to some more fun ones. I'm actually going to skim through our list here. I'll pull them up. Teach people to fish. Don't give them a fish daily. I think is fantastic. Hold each other accountable. I think this one too. We talk about the left hand's responsible for the right, what the right hand is doing, and vice versa. So, I think that's important. There's when we talk about accountability, there was a culture in one group at some point of, well, this was X fault and this was Y's fault, and they didn't tell me X or Y. And it's like, well, no, we're responsible for finding out just as much as we're responsible for telling other people the information. And that sort of helps a lot. And I think people take that on board. And then there's some more fun ones, like be on time. No meetings after 3 p.m. on Fridays. That's been a fun one because everybody's in a different time zone in our company now. So we've had to, I think it moved to 1 p.m. So that was, pretty interesting. And then I'll give you the last one. A lunch meeting means you're providing lunch for all attendees. So
Subscribe. Yes. Can we all live by that rule?
Yeah. Or people don't schedule as many lunches than lunch meetings, right? So
yeah.
But yeah.
No, I think those are all really amazing rules. Some ones that I really identified with, the left hand is responsible for the right hand, vice versa. It's kind of like, yes, you can say oh, well, I didn't know, but it's also up to you to find out. You need to be driven. You need to hold yourself accountable. And I really love that. I some of the other ones that you're talking to where it's no one's done until everyone's done. When you said that, I literally got chills up my arm. That's the kind of team I want to be on, where everyone's in there together. And when one person wins, everyone wins. And when there's still work to be done, we're all working and getting it done.
Yeah, I think that one's so critical because, by the nature of business, when we scope out some work to do some technology work at a customer, there's going to be a level of effort. There's various roles and everybody's allocated hours. And if you go by the exact plan that you laid out for the level of effort, some people, nothing ever goes 100% according to plan. Everybody's different. Everything changes. So it's better that the whole team is just marching in the same direction. And often you find projects complete earlier, than they needed to, because you've got other people. Oh, this task's finished. They can go help somebody with this other task. Okay, that's finished more quickly now. We're waiting for this document to be completed. Somebody else can review it. Maybe that wasn't their job per se in the scope, but the fact that everybody's willing to just get on board and help each other, I think is absolutely critical. And David on my team, the director was mentioning, I mean, he's done a phenomenal job of this with his team. He day in, day out, I mean, he built all these new presentation templates and then immediately went to work with all the team, upgrading them together, getting everybody on board, how to get the data, how to pull it together. And what probably took weeks at first will take hours now, right? Because of the speed and the automation and the, just the habits that have formed in the team.
Yeah. And, I see that across a lot of different areas at Ahead, like my previous team that I used to run and the Center of Excellence. But, you'd get those 90 slide decks and you'd have 30, 60 minutes sometimes to get some of these things done. And it's how are you going to do it? And it's not just ooh, bummer, Megan, sorry you got that email. It's all right, I've got slides 1 through 30. Grace, you're on slides 30 through 45, Kirsten 45 through 60, Megan, you've got the last 30. Let's all hit it. And then once you finish, if you're done with the set early, time to check in with everyone else and see
Yeah, I
what else
love
you can
that.
pick
Love
up. And
that.
all of a sudden you had this massive project that would have been way too much for one person, but through collaboration and kind of serving each other, we're able to get that done. And then you turn out a high quality product. So it's
Yeah,
really
no,
nice
that's
when you get to
fantastic.
do that.
Yep.
You know, speaking of my example, I'd love to hear a couple of examples of recent wins on your team.
Yeah, and I think when you say wins from our team, I think the fact we've come as far as we have in the last year. I mean, I think there were 5 people on this group reboot from what was the co-pilot team to upwards of 30 to 40 people now in the managed solutions group in the space, and it's going to keep growing. So I think that in itself has created a community and more bandwidth, more expertise, a lot more people that everyone can learn from each other, which I think is fantastic. I think from an innovative technology and customer impact, one of the investments we made the case for was some of the work we've been doing around developer acceleration. We've been partnered very closely with Harness and AWS, doing a ton of work with them. And, if you looked at this space a year and a half ago, it was going through a big shift. We met with about 10 CIOs, we met with AWS, we met with Gartner, and the question we asked everybody was, if you could reinvent managed services for cloud, what would you do? And we took all the feedback from there and took this to the team and ultimately came up with, okay, we weren't doing traditional managed services. We were going to build this, what we call next gen managed solutions, which are very different to traditional support-based managed services. And then we took it a step further and built in, we said, what if we could completely do something, let's say that's what people want, but what if we could take them even a step further and automate and build accelerators that no one's ever seen before? What if instead of something taking 6 months, it could take 2 weeks from the date of signature? So that was a critical element. And what we ended up with was a project inside the group to build these developer and platform accelerators that we just launched to our sales team about just over a month ago now. And I've been showing it to customers, and it completely blows them away when they see it. And in fact, we just started our second paid engagement around that, which is fantastic. Feedback from customers so far is this is amazing. One of the comments they made, and this loops back to education here, was, hey, we work with a lot of partners, a lot of people say they can do these things, and they give us the PowerPoint and everything. And 2 days of our team on site, they said this, and they said, but you guys actually completely know what you're doing, and you come in here and the quality is so good. And our CSAT scores were 10 out of 10 across nearly all of our customers, which is just phenomenal in this industry. Our net promoter score is fantastic. So it's a world-class team, and I think that's the win for me. And it's not one client, it's all of them. I mean, I'm not saying there aren't occasional blips, but we go back to our principles to live by, and we figure out what went wrong and we fix it. But the results are fantastic. I mean, you think of in the plus 80, plus 90 net promoter scores, I mean, plus 30 is considered amazing. If anyone doesn't know, the scoring's, negative 100 or positive 100, to be that high is just phenomenal across the client base. So those are a couple there, I would say, just inside. And then we're seeing the results of all of it play out now. And that's why the team's expanding, because of the wins, the quality, the satisfaction. I mean, it all ties together. And, I'll go back to, we anchor on education and focus, just so critical.
I mean, congratulations to you and your team. I'm not surprised, but it sounds like amazing work. And it sounds like when everyone's bought in and to the team, and everyone's doing it together, like, this is what's possible.
Yeah.
How do you learn?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because when I take a vacation, I think it's the first time. Like, I just took this week to California, as we were talking about before we started here. You sort of realize, I almost never stop learning when I'm on, and that comes from a variety of ways, right? So outside of work, work day or work hours, if you will, I'm definitely on YouTube, checking out the latest, technology news, looking at the latest items. I teach training courses, and twofold, again, because I love it, but it also keeps me sharp. I teach a lot of external websites and, make sure I'm constantly, teaching other people, whether it's a certification course that I need for myself. Well, no better way to know it than to know I can teach it. I think is a great way to do it. And then just from my peers again, go into meetings, go into our clients. Like, I'm always looking for what's the next problem or challenge somebody has, and that's the part I get most excited about, because you've got this core fundamental skills and certification and technology, and obviously I have years of experience, over 20 plus years in the industry now. But when you get a new challenge, I think it becomes the most exciting period, because you can take that problem, you get back in front of the whiteboard. I love that. We're exiting the pandemic here and can all get back together now, and things are starting to get back. I see a lot of people coming to the office now, and it's like, what's the problem? And we get in front of a whiteboard and we solution. I can use this technology plus this one, and then also just challenging what we've done before. Again, and what happens out of these questions that get asked is a spiral of learning activity. I might be on my iPhone googling a bunch of stuff, might be watching YouTube videos, might be on my laptop, and then once you sort of done the rapid fire searches, if you will, then it's about deep focused or deep learning, if you will, where I actually just need to like zone out, put some headphones on, study something, write something, or build some new content, and then present it. And then it's automatic from then on. It just becomes easier and easier to talk about it, because it's no longer something that might be, it's something that is. And that's a big shift. So yeah, it never really stops, but I guess I don't realize how much I spend searching. So always trying to find that balance, like I think every technologist is, but as long as I'm having fun, it doesn't feel like work. So that's the part I always try to remember.
That's great, Nick. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story of impact today. Just hearing about your team and the fun rules to live by and how everyone's really bought in. It sounds like, a team I would love to be on. So thank you for sharing your story.
All right. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. And really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Shea Allen's story of impact showcases her remarkable impact not only within the business, but also in her local community. As a senior recruiter, she plays a pivotal role in driving talent acquisition and contributing to the growth and success of AHEAD. Earlier this year, Shea went above and beyond her professional responsibilities by organizing and hosting a fundraiser for Turning Point of Chittenden County, a vital addiction recovery program in Burlington, Vermont. By raising over $23,000 and committing to hosting the event annually, Shea demonstrates her passion for making a positive impact beyond the workplace, exemplifying the values of empathy, generosity, and serving her community. All right, welcome, Shea. How are you doing today?
Thanks, Nick. Doing pretty well. It's a beautiful day here in Chicago. How are you doing?
Doing good. It was great getting lunch outside, and the weather was absolutely, like you said, absolutely beautiful. Good to gather at the office and see everyone and get to spend some quality time with the folks here.
I know. It's awesome. It's 75 and sunny, and it's always good to get together with the colleagues.
We got to hear about your impactful story during town hall with Turning Point Recovery Center, I believe in your hometown, correct?
Yeah. So I'm from the Northeast. So I got a lot of family that's out there in Vermont. I was originally from Maine, but definitely very connected with the Burlington, Vermont community.
So I'd love to hear more about how you're making an impact in your community.
What we wanted to do was serve the Burlington, Vermont community, which is a community that is pretty heavily affected by, drug and alcohol addiction. And so, sort of addiction recovery is a cause that's pretty close to our family's heart. And so we, myself and my family put on a fundraiser, raising money for a nonprofit like Turning Point to be able to help them continue to provide services and resources there. It was originally intended to be an ice fishing fundraiser, with a cash buy-in. Quickly had to pivot in finding out that the lake was not going to be frozen. So we got creative, did 50-50 raffle, which was fun, and then a karaoke competition as well. Just finding fun ways to enjoy spending time together, but also raise money. And so ended up raising around $23,000 from folks that were there at that event with us, as well as folks from afar, friends, family, and colleagues as well.
That's a fantastic effort, especially when you can get friends and family and the community all involved in facing challenges along the way. You're able to pivot and still be able to make an impact on your community. And I know you're kind of talking about some of the financial outcomes that you had of that from the fundraiser. I mean, $23,000, that's a lot of hard work.
The financial impact is obviously huge. It was so cool for us to be able to raise that amount of money. But in choosing Turning Point as, kind of our sole recipient, we are able to have a relationship with the director of that program who, can tell us the direct impact of where that money goes and what it's doing for the Burlington community. They every single day host, community events. So that money goes towards, making sure they maintain their facilities. And then just the growth of that program, their, mission is to save one life at a time. And so being able to, kind of donate that money so that they can continue to grow and save more lives is definitely kind of where that impact has been for us.
Yeah, I mean, it can't really get much more impactful than that, if you ask me. That's fantastic. I also really can always appreciate knowing what you're contributing and how it is making an impact. Being able to have that connection with the person at Turning Point just sounds like very rewarding to be able to know what you're doing and how it's having an impact.
Rewarding. I think you hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah, speaking of rewarding, how does it make you feel when you're having that kind of impact on your community?
Yeah, I think the main thing that I feel is gratitude. I'm very grateful that I'm fortunate enough to be able to, host an event like this, put on a fundraiser like this, but then, grateful that I have enough people in my life, friends, family, colleagues that are willing to donate to a cause like this. So definitely gratitude is probably number one. It also helps me kind of, feel a sense of greater purpose. And so I can connect with that and see the impact of what I'm able to do. And, that kind of greater sense of responsibility, I think, is something that I feel as well from that impact.
Making an impact in your community and being able to be grateful for it and kind of find a higher purpose. That's amazing. And that's what it's all about.
When my team found out that this was something that I was putting on, something that I'm, really close to and passionate about, they actually got together and put their own personal funds towards contributing to the cause, which was so great. It feels wonderful to work at a company where they encourage and facilitate other folks to, go and make an impact, not only in their communities, but, with customers or, collaborating with internal teams. I think that, the culture that we've, founded here, I think definitely encourages that.
I think that's definitely something that Ahedians are very good at. Part of our values, drive and serve. You put those two together and something like helping with a fundraiser or helping with a children's hospital, whatever it might be, we're positioned for that and we're ready to take action on it. And it feels good to work at a place like that.
Yeah, I completely agree. And those opportunities are so valuable. And, again, kind of brings us back to that feeling of gratitude. There's a lot of things for us to be grateful for, including those opportunities to, continue to serve. I welcome anyone that wants to reach out and learn more about Turning Point or about, this cause, about the fundraising event that I, have now committed myself to doing annually from here on out. And I really appreciate the opportunity to speak about it.
That's awesome, Shea. I am so proud to say that I get to work with people like you here at Ahead who are having an impact on their community. And if anybody wants to learn more, like Shea said, reach out. So thanks for hopping onto the podcast today, Shea.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, thanks for your time, Nick. This has been really awesome to be able to speak about it. It's something really important to me and would love to hear anybody's stories or have anyone reach out if they want to learn more. So thanks for giving me the platform.
Awesome. Thanks, Shea. Ian's story of impact centers around his role as a service account manager, where he excels in identifying process gaps and pain points for clients and proactively finding solutions. By coordinating between various focus teams and aligning services with client needs, Ian has successfully enhanced team engagement, closed operational gaps, improved efficiency, shifted from reactive to proactive approaches, and expanded the scope of services provided to clients. Ian's passion for his work stems from the sense of purpose and fulfillment he experiences when witnessing client satisfaction, driving him to continue making a positive impact and maintaining a high level of energy and enthusiasm. Hey folks, I got Ian here on the podcast with me today. Ian, how are you doing?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, super excited. I'm also going to be honest with you. I don't have that much of a view, I think, into our managed services side of the business. So I'm also excited to kind of learn more about that today with you.
Awesome. Yeah, I'd love to talk about it.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
definitely a happening place, managed services.
Yeah, before the call, you were telling me that you're actually located on the West Coast, but you provide service full time on the East Coast?
That's how I do it. Yep, I'm in Spokane, Washington State, and the main company that I serve as a dedicated service account manager is actually in Cincinnati downtown. So that's kind of fun, but I actually
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So kind of, what I was talking about earlier, learning more about the managed service teams. Like, I'm interested how you are making an impact inside ahead with our clients.
Well, this when you have the role of a service account manager, you're just one person out of many. So it really depends a lot on the team. And I tell you what, I work with a lot of great team members within Ahead Managed Services. My role is to focus on one particular client. I'm dedicated on them, and they are a great client, super engaged, full of all kinds of activity, and it really requires our different managed services teams to all work together and work very efficiently. And I would say that we have definitely really stepped up to the challenge. So I'm really lucky in my role to just be in the middle of a lot of it as a SAM or as a service account manager. So tons of moving pieces to our service delivery and constant collaboration with the clients teams. So kind of what that looks like is we've got multiple cadences, right? Internally with our engineers and with our clients' engineers at different levels and departments with the services that we provide them, right? So we have good feedback loops, really good focused problem resolution sessions, and there's just really overall a whole bunch of accountability and sometimes on short timelines too, like quick turnarounds and things like that we really have to be on our toes for. So my involvement has been to just keep tons of balls up in the air, really a lot going on all the time across all of our focus teams and coordinate between our services and the clients. If it's okay with you, I'll talk a little bit about, when I started and kind of what we've been working on just a little bit more.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Cool. So it was, I think, just right in the end of January or early February when I began supporting this account, about 6 months ago. And it was just coming out of a big net new project. They had spun up a bunch of production servers in a data center in Cincinnati and then a secondary DR site in DC. And so they've also moved into their new office downtown Cincy as kind of they moved away from their prior parent company. And there's been a lot of change going on there. So with all the new services, we've needed to set up, I would say, more tailored processes and training for our teams to support their business and their objectives with their clientele. So there have been things like infrastructure, performance tuning, triage issues. I would say that we needed to close some gaps on, and then automating some alert assignments, kind of firming up security patching on the infrastructure, software deployment schedules, and a lot of things like that, right? One of the things I enjoyed doing was interviewing their key team members so we could listen to them, get what they were most concerned about resolving first, kind of the most pressing needs. And then what we've done is turn around and built better processes around those things. So it took a lot of work, I would say, like a lot of multiple iterations, and it does continue to, right, until we get things to where we need, right? Lots of back and forth with the client, I would say, until things are just right. But it's worth the extra time and the effort because it pays off where they feel the traction, they see the improvement, and overall it just feels great.
Everyone just wants to feel seen and heard. And it sounds like you're doing a great job with the client doing that, making sure that you're on top of it, listening to their pain points, understanding their points of view, and then figuring out solutions for that. Amazing.
Well, it's definitely a team effort, right? The way that the SAM is going, the way that it's going with the SAM is kind of the way that managed services in general are going. So, if things are going well with the way that the SAM is working through things, that just means that the responsiveness that needs to happen on the back end from all of the many individuals and managed services across the services that we provide to that client, they're doing what they should and they're doing a good job. And there's so much credit that needs to be given to those people because they are working hard and it's awesome working with them.
Yeah, shout out to those folks getting it done and making us look really great. What are the bigger results of your impact?
Well, one of the things that I think makes the biggest difference for the role that I'm in is just that by closing some operational gaps and increasing the service delivery efficiency, it's made our CSAT go up. It's trending in a positive direction. And I think that's the most important thing, because I've just kind of noticed a correlation where if if you have good CSAT, internally, you feel it as well, right? So our teams know that when they're doing a good job and the client's happy about it, it's kind of like this cycle, and it gives us all like positive momentum, and increases our desire to just keep doing more of the same. So I think it's that. And on this particular account, our team members have just been that, highly engaged, very focused, and feeling that forward momentum and traction. And it's just been a kind of, I would say, a positive cycle. And just being able to work together to pivot, I would say, more from out of a reactive mode to more of a proactive mode, really, that's where you get some stuff done, right? So there's that. And then maybe one of the things I think is important too is just where you see one thing that you can improve, there's often a good chance that that improvement can make a difference, maybe for other clients or within other groups. So I think one of the things that I've been happy about, maybe one of the results, or that I really try to conscientiously have be an impact, is that some of the ideas for process improvements that I care a lot about, and that I think would and do make a difference for this client, they are also kind of being considered for adoption across other aspects of managed services. And I love that too, right? Seeing when something can help other groups and their clients as well.
In my previous role at Ahead, I was part of an internal services team that helped basically do proposal design. And when you got to see something you created go on the big screen, or like get shit, all of a sudden you see it in another deck and someone came to you and they're like, hey, can you help me with this? And you see that later, you're like, whoa, like this has reach. This is making an impact, and it's working. People like it. It's getting adopted. That feels amazing.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah. So how does a head facilitator encourage your impactful actions?
Well, I very much appreciate how the leaders here in my group, and on also just the managers of the particular towers and managed services, they listen and they care, right? So I appreciate how they do that, but also how they follow up, right? So these, the managers I appreciate because they dedicate cycles and resources to the issues that I bring to them, and we make sure that we keep them on the radar, right? To me, it's in the culture, right? They want to know how they can help, and it just contributes to it being a great place to work for me, because I mean, maybe in the past, I mean, I can compare it to prior places where I've been where that was not the case, right? And so I do very much appreciate people saying, yeah, we can see that you care enough to try and contribute to make a difference, because they're right there doing the same thing.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Across the interviews I've been doing on this podcast, there's always been some recurring themes. And one of them is having people alongside you, like other people who are right there with you, who are experiencing what you're talking about, who are willing to roll up their sleeves and get a little dirty sometimes and get some work done. But like when you see that, it inspires it in other people. And like, the people who are down there with you getting the work done and making that impact. And it's been awesome to hear that across so many different folks.
Yeah, no, I love doing that. And that's what we do. We help each other. And we even did that yesterday on one of our bridge calls. Like one of our team members was having trouble with his VPN. So we figured it out together and got him where it needed to go and busted through things. So it's just really cool, because it comes with a culture, I think, where you've got people who will step in and help because they care. And so there's, I don't know, it just seems to me like extra accountability when you've got that in the culture.
Yes. I'm big on accountability for sure. And that is another one of the themes that has come up across so many folks. I think it's really important. Ian, I really appreciate you sharing your stories and your experiences with me. If any of the more tenured Ahedians remember, I believe our motto or tagline always used to be about how we're stitching everything together. And we got to hear about how that is happening through Ian's stories and experiences. And I've gotten better visibility into how we operate. So Ian, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Hey, my pleasure, man. Like, this has been fun. It's always nice to zoom out and do the 3000, because a lot of the time we're way down in the weeds. So it's nice to stop and just go back and say, hey, like we really are doing a good job of making a difference, and we just got to keep it up.
Impact isn't limited to these stories alone. Making an impact is a call to action for all of us. What are you doing to make an impact today? Do you know someone who is making an impact? Make sure to give them a shout out or nominate them for an Impact Award on Thanks. Before we go, I want to re-highlight and invite you to join Shea in supporting Turning Point of Chittenden County, an addiction recovery program in her community. Turning Point provides a vital lifeline for those struggling with addiction, offering resources, counseling, and a supportive community to help individuals regain control of their lives. They believe in the power of recovery and the potential within each person to overcome obstacles and thrive. To make an impact and support Turning Point's transformative work, we encourage you to donate to them through A Head Gives Back. Your contribution, no matter how small, can make an impact on someone's life and provide them with the support they need to embark on a journey of recovery. And remember, through A Head Gives Back, A Head matches 100% of your donations. Visit the A Head Gives Back page on Archie today to make an impact. And thank you for joining us on this episode of the Life of the Head podcast. We hope you feel inspired to embrace your own ability to make an impact. I look forward to having you with us in future episodes. Stay tuned, stay well, and stay ahead, Ahedians.